So a lot of production knife companies are starting to look pretty similar. You know, same materials, same designs, kind of the same vibe. But one has really stuck out to me recently, and that's North Mountain Blade. Their vibe's just completely different. They have a really unique Japanese-inspired aesthetic with layered blades, different kinds of grinds, copper-clad, steel, which is wild, and just much more of a handcrafted sort of look. So today I'm going to show several versions of the Chop series lineup, including their flagship, which is in this box right here. And I'll give you the pros, cons, and why this brand has really changed my mind on stuff like Tonto blades and even aesthetic. So I want to start out with their cheapest version. Now this one's fairly hard to find. You'll see it on eBay, sometimes whatnot, and this is the D2 Crossbar Chop 2 version. It's usually around 60, 70 bucks, I believe. So it is D2 steel. It's got that same, Tonto blade shape, and you can see the grind there, pretty interesting. And it's got that same 45 cal on top there that this style is getting known for. Micarta scales on this thing, really nice crossbar lock action. And it also has that same bronze backspacer that we've seen them do. Reversible pocket clip. So, this is one of your cheapest entries into North Mountain Blade, but is it really where you should start? I'm not sure because, for not much more, I have a 10% code to give you guys, and for 90 bucks, you can get the SLD Magic version. Now, this is their crossbar lock, but they do have this in a button lock as well. Jade G10 scales, but it does come in a bunch of different colors and even different scale materials. I get the crossbar locks because they do have reversible clips, but I like the look of their button locks and honestly would use some of those if they did put a reversible clip on them. But really one of the most interesting things about North Mountain Blade is their materials. They're laminated blades. This is a Sanmai blade. It's 3 layers from my understanding, and they call this SLD Magic. Now, the core is their SLD Magic. It's kind of like an upgraded D2. You're gonna have really good edge retention. The layers here make it a little more durable than D2 would be. You have a little bit softer steel here on the outside layers. And SLD Magic's definitely, become popular more recently with like the knife enthusiasts. It's a really nice working steel. This would be a great work knife. For 90 bucks, I think it's definitely worth it. It's a larger knife. This one has their bigger handle, as you can see, and great action on this one as well. It's got that same bronze backspacer. This one definitely fills out the hand. On North Mountain Blade social media and website, I've seen them do some crazy things with this knife. It's a really durable work knife. You got some jimping up here. This one has more conventional thumb studs. And you can see just how that blade works. The working edge is around the bottom there. And you can see from the top, well, not as good on this one. On the fixed blade here, you can see the layers. So see that inner core right there? That's the hardest steel, and that's gonna be your cutting edge. And then, it's a softer steel on the outside here. So their naming is a little bit confusing, but I think this one's basically called their Chop crossbar lock. And then this style is like the Chop 2. And you can see it's a little bit smaller here. And this does come in a button lock variety as well, like I said. And then their flagship here is a 5-layer Copper-Clad Chop 2. So you can see here, this one and this one have the same handle. This is a little bit thicker handle and the blade's a little bit longer. So with the copper one, you're looking at about 8 inches, same as this guy. And then this one's closer to 8.5. Blade is about 3 3/4 and more like 3 3/8 on the Chop 2 here. So, some people are calling this a Chop 2 as well, and then others are just calling it Chop crossbar lock. There's just a lot of different Chop varieties now, including the button locks that I don't have here. So like I said, it's a little bit confusing with the naming. But yeah, North Mountain Blade told me that this is basically their flagship of this year, also made to be a hard use work knife. But this one's a 5-layer copper-clad blade, and this has a 10CR15 MOV core. So kind of similar to like a VG10 on the core, and then you got 5 different layers here. It's really cool looking. Check out that blade. So the copper's really mostly just for looks. With this many layers, it is going to be a very durable steel though. And you can see that Tonto blade shape's just a little bit different compared to the bigger one here. So there's both of those together. You can see here, this one's a little bit taller, and the top swedge here is kind of different. A little bit thicker blade stock, it looks like over here as well. And you can see the layers on this one from the top down. Very interesting. On this one, you do have a backspacer as well and an exposed lanyard hole. I think the action on this one may be my favorite. And you can also see there's some slight differences here. The pivot size is a little bit different. The crossbar looks a little bit different, but they do use the same pocket clip. And I like how they do a really nice filler tab on the other side as well. Their G10 is fairly smooth and contour, but it still has just a slight, kind of tacky feel to it. So it's slightly grippy. It's not going to be as grippy as like, a Spyderco type of G10 or something. So I'm going to weigh the big guy here. 5.2 ounces. That's to be expected. I figured it was going to be around 5. And then here is the copper blade, 4.4. And let's see there, micarta, 4.15. Also, here's their fixed blade, 3.45. And then this one isn't a chop. This is their Quaken, I believe it's pronounced. And this one's definitely going to be lighter, 3.75. And we'll take a quick look here at the fixed blade. This is the Chop Mini. This one is definitely a 4-finger knife. Definitely has a Japanese knife type of vibe. Carbon fiber handle. I think you can get the G10 for like 110, 120 bucks. They're not super expensive. I really like the blade on this one as well. And this does come with a nice sheath. And then I think there's a larger chop fixed blade you can get too. And like I said, there's other chops. There's chop button locks. There's the Chop 4. There's a lot in the chop line. So like I said, North Mountain Blade said that this is basically their flagship design this year. It's meant to be an everyday user knife. It's great in the pocket, not too heavy for me. This guy, if you like bigger knives, I would go with this. For my style, I prefer this one, but this thing really fills out the hand and just feels very substantial. The blade feels a bit thicker as well. You still get fairly thin behind the edge. Let's try this one out. Yeah, this one feels like it thins out more though. Let's try cutting some paper here. Yeah, this one feels pretty slicey. This guy's a little bit thicker. Let's see how it does. Oh yeah. Gets hung up a little bit, but not bad. Yeah, just right at that Tonto edge right there is where it gets hung up when you're slicing paper with stuff like this. Let's see if that... Oh, not with this one. Yeah, so they're sharp. Not going to be super duper difficult to sharpen. This one, like I said, fairly similar to a VG10. Let's try out the fixed blade. Yeah, just gets hung up right around that... tip right there, that second tip that you see with Tontos. Now, as far as pros and cons with these, obviously it's a crossbar lock. Some people love them, some people don't. They do give you extra Omega springs in the box, which is quite nice. For crossbar locks, I said this in my most carried of 2026 video, I really like the action on this. Perfect amount of stiffness to me, and it doesn't feel like super soft or anything like some of them out there do. I do wonder how this would do if it got wet, like if you're using this outside, because it's a little bit smoother of a G10. I haven't had any issues with it, but like if you're wearing gloves or something, maybe. I think it's still fairly grippy though, even though it's not that like sandpaper type of G10 that some people use. Like I said, ergonomics on this are great, especially on this one, the Chop 2 style here. It just feels really good. On this one, they're good too, but you gotta like a thicker handle. It's just a bigger knife. I do wish they made some with like different colored backspacers here. Like I'm not super fond of the, this gold color with the JG10, but to each their own. And I would like a deeper carry clip. It would be cool if they came out with a few different options since so many of their knives do use the same clip. But besides that, I mean, there's just not a lot to complain about here. There's a lot of good, which I've said throughout the video. If you like the styling, you're likely gonna like this knife. I do wish they made more with reversible pocket clips and some different lock styles besides just crossbar locks and button locks. They do with their other knives. They have other knives out there that have frame locks and some different locking mechanisms, like with the Quaken here. This is a liner lock, as you can see, but I can get past that. I just have liked this knife brand a lot more than I thought I would originally. I like their crossbar lock. It feels really nice and sturdy. You got skeletonized liners inside there. And I think if you like the look, you're gonna like the performance of it, especially if you like more of a hard use type of knife. Oh, and also they do have different scale materials besides just G10. There's copper, there's titanium, there's brass, which I'm sure is really heavy. So there's a lot of of different stuff out there. A lot of people shipwrecking the copper ones as well. So now, North Mountain did send me this for review. These other ones I purchased, and I actually already had this because I'm a fan of this brand. So this has been the one that I've carried. This is one of their first runs, and you can see what the copper looks like after some use. So it's not going to get super duper discolored or anything. You can see the thumb disc there darkened a bit because it's brass, and it's going to get a little patina on it, but it's still going to look cool. Now I have a 10% off code to give you for these. Regular price on North Mountain Blades website is $10.40 on the copper one. Then take 10% off of that, you're going to get it for like 126 bucks. It's $100 here on the SLD Magic bigger guy, and then $90 after the 10% off. I was a little bit off with the carbon fiber fixed blade. That's regularly $140. Then you get 10% off of that. But they do have G10 versions of this that are $120, and then you get 10% off that. So I think I basically explained why North Mountain Blades stands out to me right now. They've really changed my mind on Japanese-inspired knives and these blade shapes. I now like a Tonto blade, and I've even bought some from other brands as well. Well, a lot of people like them because of their, tactical, hard use. The tip is very strong. Also, they're just really useful for EDC. You can open packages with, this point right here. You got a nice cutting edge here, and then you got a really strong tip as well. So I think that's it, guys. If you hung in this late, really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please drop me a like. That about wraps it up. Until next time, thanks for watching.